Welcome, welcome, welcome back to Layers of Empowerment. This is Lady Ash, and I am so excited to move on to our next layer, which is adding splashes of paint and color and all the excitement to our art so that it can come together. Right now, it lacks color and vibrancy, and so just like in life, we want to add color and vibrancy to our life so that we can live. I want my art to live, so we're going to give it some life, and we will be talking about my life on canvas. I will be sharing stories with you, giving you prompts to think about your life as well, to see how you can rewire for 2026. Get some ideas on how to add splashes of color and paint and be empowered to move through your journey with color, with life, and from a different perspective. So let's add some color. Alrighty then, I am going to start out with yellow. I'm going to add some yellow. I'm going to wet some areas of the canvas here, and we're going to start with some yellow. So I'm going to add some yellow in just to add some spice. And as we add yellow, right away you can see the painting coming to life, can't you? Oh, I love the yellow. All right, so we're going to be talking about adding splashes of color and paint. So one of the things that I really need to work on is self-talk and recognizing that the brain, like a computer, garbage in, garbage out. GIGO. It's one of the first things I learned in IT back in the day. So we have to get into the frame of mind of putting in the thoughts and the feelings and emotions that we want to get out of our brain. And it is important to live from that perspective that we have to program ourselves to get the results that we want. So the brain doesn't really know what's a joke from what's not a joke. So if you continue to say, boy, I'm a poor, I'm broke, I have no money, then you'll get more of that experience coming to you because your brain is going to say, oh, that's what you need. Because remember now, you program your subconscious mind to give you what you need. And if that's the self-talk that you're giving yourself, then of course you're going to reap that result. And you don't want to do that. So you have to be very, very careful and intentional about what you tell yourself because the computer don't know when you're joking. You ever tried joking with AI yet? And it gives you back a real serious response and you go, okay, because it really doesn't know the difference. So you have to be intentional and impeccable with your words. So you have to be careful about not what you think of, not only about what you think about, but also about what actually comes out of your mouth. And you have to start knowing that your conversations, the things that you say to yourself, the things that you say to others and about others are really the things that you're telling yourself that you are and that you want to be and the results that you want from your life. So we have to be very, very careful about how we say the things that we say and why we say them. All right. So what about you? What are some of the things that you sometimes say that, or you have said that you wish you didn't say? You know, and it's a part of the process, the forgiveness. You need to acknowledge that, we're not perfect and we need to forgive ourselves, but at the same time hold ourselves responsible for the change that we need to make. So I'm adding splashes of pink Mixing that pink with the yellow, and I'm getting this lovely, powerful color that I'm adding to my painting to give it a nice little variety. So what are the thoughts that we often think that probably we can do without? Think about the things that we say a lot. Like sometimes, you know, you will hear the money don't grow up on tree. You think me have money for waste, or me can't afford that too expensive. Things like, you know, that's out of my price range. Those are the things that we keep telling ourselves. So somebody saw me with some artwork the other day, and the person was saying, "Oh my God, that is so beautiful, but me can't afford it," you know. And I said to the person, "Of course you can afford it. This is just not your priority right now." And the person said, "Me like that. Yeah, me have got employ that saying that. Me have got start say that for true, because that's it. You can afford anything you want. It's just that you have different priorities at the present moment, and you know that's not primary in terms of your budget, but you can afford anything that you want, you know. Just that you may have competing priorities. Sometimes we often say, "Why am I broke? You know, me not no money." But it's just not, you're not broke, you're just not liquid. Because if you want to find resources, you can. It's just that you don't have the resources for particular item maybe at that present moment, but doesn't mean that you're broke. So you need to stop telling yourself these things, and know that when you use these words, you're actually programming your mind. So we need to start telling ourselves the things that we truly want to happen in our lives. So we're putting in hints of color. Most of this we're going to probably cover up later on, but we want to have the color story and, you know, make our painting bright and vibrant. All right, so I'm just adding some warm colors, and then I'm going to add some cool colors next and see how that looks. So each step of the way, I'm going to re-examine to see what is happening with the color and take a step back. Just like in life, when you try something new, you're not sure how it's working, you need to take a step back. When you make those remarks to yourself, or you gossip and share negativity with others, you can take a step back and cancel some of that. Reprogram your thoughts, revisit, apologize, and do whatever is necessary to get back to your grounding. We talked about that mindset, that frame of mind, that frequency you need to be in to get the results that you need. All right, so let's take a look at this. Okay, so I'm going to be adding some contrasts to our piece to bring it to life. And sometimes we do need contrast in order to bring our ideas forward. So I'm waiting so I get some movement, and I'm just adding contrast in some areas. All right, so the next thing we'll talk about is just trying to get ourselves in that frame of mind all the time. Now you have to figure out a way to remind yourself periodically on what you need to say, how you need to say it, and when you slip up, you find a way to bring yourself back to ground zero, which is very important. And one of the things that you can keep in check, it's your emotions. Try and get yourself grounded. Um, for me, one of the things I need to do is to stop being so reactive. Just take a breath, take a moment before I respond, and just think about, you know, what the best response is, because sometimes in the moment you can't find the best response. So um, I have gotten into the habit of deferring my response. So I'll ask to get some time to think it through or to think about it and re-examine certain things, appreciate if a different perspective, and say, give me some time to think that through so I can get back to you to find a solution that aligns with whatever somebody's giving you feedback on, stuff. Yeah, you take the feedback, and if it's something that you need to revert on, you can go ahead and do that, but um, take some time to really think about what you want to do and, how you're going to do that. So this is a very big canvas, and it's going to take some time to add a lot of color. So some of the painting will be done offline, but I just wanted to do enough so you can see the direction in which the painting is going, and then we will get back to some more live painting. So think about your reaction, think about your emotions, think about how you are processing what is said to you, and then give yourself time to respond. Always a good thing, especially if you're agitated and you write that long text message. Yeah, just pause on it. Write that long email, don't send it. Think things through and think about the best response that you will need that will solve the problem or elevate the conversation to a space where there'd be openness for resolution, and you'll be able to move forward. So those are two key things that I am working on in adding splashes of color and paint. And of course, it's not easy, especially if it's a heated situation. So working on that, and you too need to just take this time and think about some of the things that you want to work on. I'm going to paint and you're going to write. Okay, so we've added some splashes of color and paint. I'm going to continue this process. I'm going to use a smaller brush, and as we do that, we'll continue the discussions around adding splashes of color and paint, and as we go along, we tone down certain areas to bring out the form. All right, so I'm going to tone down some of these areas. And we're going to talk about our subconscious brain, our subconscious mind, how it functions and what it remembers. So if it is that we basically program our mind to have these thoughts that we talked about earlier, what are you programming in your mind? What information are you putting in? What beliefs do you need to change? And how are we going to reprogram our nervous system to start giving us the results that we need? We talked about using affirmations, We talk about using cue cards. We talk about listening to positive music. Um, we talk about just reminding ourselves daily on some of the things that we need to do in terms of our daily activities. Just not entertain some certain discussions, certain TV programs. You might need to stop listening to so much of the news. Get your news in a way that it's not so graphic. Sometimes if you watch the news, you don't want to leave your house because it can be scary, especially if you are single and you want to go to certain places. I don't watch the news directly. I try to stay informed, however, but I don't focus too much on it because I know it will prevent me from doing the things I like to do, like going down to the market and having that sort of an experience. If I'm afraid that there might be conflict or someone might hurt me, then I am not going to be inclined to go anywhere or to do anything. Mind you, there are some places that I just don't go, but at the same time, I want to give myself whatever experience I think is necessary for my growth and the things that I do enjoy. So, that being said, I try to reduce the fear factor of living this beautiful life. I want you to put in the comments some of the things that you often tell yourself that you do want to let go of, or you can reframe how you say certain things that you tell yourself. How can you say them or program them in such a way that they are more palatable? So this is the messy middle is what they call this in a painting, where everything just doesn't make sense and it gets a bit confusing. And you go, what am I doing here? But it eventually will come together. So just have to keep going. Just have to keep pushing forward on your journey and don't be discouraged. Things will come together in the end. I am just going with what I feel, so that's pretty much it. I am not pre-programmed for one design or the other. I'm just using up the paint and see what comes. Right. So just put some thoughts in the comments and, share how you feel, you know, changes that you think are necessary for you at this time, some of the thoughts that you want to let go of, or just put what you often say and what you're going to choose now to say moving forward. So I'm working on the areas outside of the focal point. Because I'm working on contrast now so that it can get a little lift. Yeah, I'm using a very small brush too, trying to get some paint in here. How is it coming on? I like it so far. I do. So it's not about getting to the destination. It's about who you're becoming as you grow. And then you will realize that there are some things that you do need to change and some things you do need to change immediately and drastically because they are so ingrained in you and they're just not giving you the results that you want. So you have to fix those, and you have to fix them fast, especially if they are recurring. You know, you find that you're thinking the same thoughts all the time, and it's not giving you the results that you need. You probably need to just revisit that. Try and be consistent. Try and be consistent with your convictions. I know this is the hard part, but you can't unwire or undo and reprogram 40 years of thinking in 3 sessions. You have to give yourself some time, to become the new person that you are working on. So it won't be an overnight thing. So just be patient and work on it consistently. Work on it consistently to get the results that you need. Yeah? So sometimes you need reminders, set alarms, use your calendar, have a prayer partner, have somebody who holds you accountable, an accountability partner. You know, you have to hold yourself accountable so that you can get consistent, because it's the consistency that will get you the results. All right. So that is primarily adding splashes of paint and color. And then you're going to say, but this is not easy. And yeah, you're right. It's not going to be easy. It's not meant to be easy. Change requires work. An upgrade requires work. Sometimes you have to, if you're upgrading a computer, you have new software that you want to load, but your old operating system or the amount of memory that you have in the computer may not be sufficient to run that new software. And so you have to upgrade your memory. And that is exactly what we're doing. We're upgrading our memory and how we see and talk about and process the world so that we can get different results. So it takes some time. And when you upgrade, you have to run several different updates sometimes to get your computer ready for the new software system. And then after you have installed that new software system, guess what? You have to learn it, because sometimes the new program is different from the old programming, right? So if there was a button in the top right corner to save, it might now be in the bottom left corner. Yeah. So you have to be prepared to change things around, do things differently, find stuff in different places. And it's fine because it's giving you an opportunity to reset, so that's not bad either. It's a good thing. So you have to recognize the shifts and lean in to make those changes. Lean in to make those changes. I am loving this so far. Whew, it's nice. Yeah. We're adding layers of changes to this piece. And it will come together, I promise. It will come together. It will find its way. It will find its way. So, again, take notes. Think about what is being said. And, you know, find a way. Sometimes you can use the Bible. Oh God, the Bible has a lot of solid principles that will allow you to change and will remind you that you have to change your perspective, renew your mind, is what it says. To be transformed, you have to renew your mind, which is basically what we're doing. Yes, we have to renew our minds to be changed. So you have to be prepared for that process of renewal and change. All right. I am loving the development so far. Now we have a lot of contrast, so we need to tone. We're going to add some details later on. So yeah, you'll be like, is this really what you want? This is the result that you want. It may not be at that stage yet to say yes, 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 but I have to go now section by section to render the piece so that it comes together, right? And this is when fear happens. Fear is false evidence appearing real. You don't know where this is going, so you're gonna panic and say, "Oh my God, this painting don't look good at what me I do." But it is okay. It's a process, and you can't let fear dictate how you feel. You can't let it dictate how you approach life. You have to be open. You have to be malleable. You have to be receptive to the changes, receptive to the process, and see how it unfolds into that final work of art that you are working on. So just be open-minded and don't let fear take you over, because fear can certainly prevent you from getting the results that you need. So work at it, be consistent, and get into alignment, get into flow. Ask for help if you need to. One of the things we talk about in adding splashes of color and paint is do a course. Get a different perspective. You want to do something new, but you don't know where to start. People are not going to tell you their trade secrets. They're not going to tell you their business processes. So you want to learn something, you want to do something new in your business, go do a course. Learn from somebody who is willing to share, and then you tweak that with your own style to get it into the masterpiece that you want. So that is really how you do it. And don't let fear take over and dictate to you what you should or shouldn't do. So be open to relearning, be open to revisiting, and seeing how you can change your perspective and get new results. All right, so that is pretty much adding splashes of color and paint. I am going to render it some more, and then we're going to get into the next layer of empowerment, which is adding fine details. So I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and share this series with someone. This is Lady Ash. Talk soon.